Your FastMCP server needs to work everywhere, from local development to production deployments. But manually configuring each environment is error-prone and inconsistent. Here's how to generate a standardized MCP JSON configuration that encapsulates your server's exact runtime requirements, command, dependencies, and environment variables in a single portable file. This uses FastMCP's built-in UV-based execution pattern, where the double FastMCP entries in the args array form the standard invocation sequence for running servers with proper dependency isolation. You'll see how this matches the output format from FastMCP inspect format MCP, ensuring compatibility with any MCP-compatible client while following the schema defined at SDMCP. com/public/schemas/fastmcp JSON/v1 JSON.
Server name, command, UV, args, run, with, FastMCP, run, /path/to/server, hi, env, API key, value.
This demonstrates the MCP JSON configuration pattern, a standardized format for defining MCP-compatible servers in a client-agnostic way. The configuration declares all runtime requirements, command structure, dependencies, and environment variables in a single portable file that follows the schema at SDMCP. com/public/schemas/fastmcp JSON/v1 JSON. The key distinction is that this isn't just a deployment descriptor, but a complete execution specification that clients like Claude Desktop or Cursor can consume directly. The pattern works by codifying the exact invocation process, where UV run with FastMCP creates an isolated environment with the specified dependencies before executing the server entry point. FastMCP's CLI and supported clients interpret this configuration identically, using it to generate consistent runtime behavior across development, testing, and production. The double FastMCP in the args array isn't redundant. It's part of FastMCP's standard invocation chain, where the first specifies the runtime plugin and the second the command, both required for proper initialization. This approach matters because it eliminates the need for client-specific configuration files or manual dependency setup. You can generate this JSON directly from your server code using FastMCP inspect server, high-format MCP, then reuse it with FastMCP run or distribute it to MCP clients. The trade-off is that while the format is portable, some clients may impose additional requirements, as noted in the official documentation. The pattern excels when you need predictable execution across different environments without embedding runtime details in your application code. Let's break it down line by line. This defines a FastMCP server configuration in MCP JSON format, following the schema at SDMCP. com/public/schemas/fastmcp JSON/v1 JSON. The structure matches what FastMCP inspect server, high-format MCP generates, ensuring compatibility with both FastMCP run and process managers like UV. The double FastMCP in args follows FastMCP's standard invocation pattern, first as the runtime flag, second as the plugin selector. This configuration can be deployed consistently across environments, though clients may have specific requirements as noted in the official documentation.
Server name.
This defines a server configuration in FastMCP's MCP JSON format, following the schema at SDMCP. com/public/schemas/fastmcp JSON/v1 JSON. The server name key identifies this specific configuration, enabling management of multiple servers in a single file. You can generate this configuration automatically using FastMCP Inspect Server, PyFormat MCP, and it works directly with FastMCP Run. The double FastMCP in args follows FastMCP's standard invocation pattern using UV as the Python runner.
Command UV.
Specifies UV as the Python runner for the FastMCP server. This is FastMCP's standard execution pattern using UV, which provides faster startup and better async support than the default Python command. The same configuration works with FastMCP Run and can be generated via FastMCP Inspect Server, PyFormat MCP.
Args.
The args array defines FastMCP's command line invocation pattern using UV. This follows the MCP JSON format schema, SDMCP, com/public/schemas/fastmcp, JSON/v1, JSON, where the first FastMCP selects the runtime plugin and the second initiates the run command. You can generate identical configurations using FastMCP Inspect Server, PyFormat MCP, or execute them directly with FastMCP Run.
Run.
This is the FastMCP MCP JSON configuration format following the schema at SDMCP, com/public/schemas/fastmcp, JSON/v1, JSON. The double FastMCP in args is FastMCP's standard invocation pattern, first as the runtime flag, second as the plugin identifier. You can generate this configuration using FastMCP Inspect Server, PyFormat MCP, and it works directly with FastMCP Run for consistent execution. The env section implements 12-factor app principles by isolating configuration from code.
With.
This is FastMCP's MCP JSON configuration format, used to declare server execution parameters. The with flag enables FastMCP's runtime plugin system within the UV Python runner, following the standard invocation pattern, UV run with FastMCP run entry point. The configuration adheres to the schema at SDMCP, com/public/schemas/fastmcp, JSON/v1, JSON, and can be auto-generated using FastMCP Inspect Server, PyFormat MCP.
FastMCP.
This is the FastMCP MCP JSON configuration format defining server execution parameters. The first, FastMCP in args, specifies the runtime plugin for UV, while the second indicates the command to execute. This is FastMCP's standard invocation pattern. This configuration can be generated automatically using FastMCP Inspect Server, PyFormat MCP, and follows the schema at SDMCP, com/public/schemas/fastmcp, JSON/v1, JSON.
FastMCP.
This is the FastMCP MCP JSON configuration format following the schema at SDMCP, com/public/schemas/fastmcp, JSON/v1, JSON. The double FastMCP entries form FastMCP's standard invocation pattern. The first enables the runtime, the second specifies the plugin. You can generate this configuration automatically using FastMCP Inspect Server, PyFormat MCP, and it works identically with both UV Run and FastMCP Run commands. The env section implements 12-factor app principles by isolating configuration from code.
Run.
This is FastMCP's MCP JSON configuration format, following the schema at SDMCP, com/public/schemas/fastmcp, JSON/v1, JSON. The double FastMCP entries in args form FastMCP's standard invocation pattern when using UV as the Python runner, with the first specifying the runtime and the second identifying the runtime plugin. You can generate this configuration automatically using FastMCP inspect server, PyFormat MCP, and it works identically with both UV run and FastMCP run commands. The end section implements 12-factor app principles by isolating environment-specific configuration from code.
/path/to/server, Pi.
This is the FastMCP MCP JSON configuration format used to declare server execution parameters in a standardized, portable way. The path must resolve to a Python module containing your FastMCP server initialization code, typically where you define your MCP tools and routes. This configuration follows the schema at SDMCP, com/public/schemas/fastmcp, JSON/v1, JSON, and can be auto-generated using FastMCP inspect server, PyFormat MCP. The same structure works with both UV run, shown here, and FastMCP run commands, ensuring consistent execution across environments. This closing square bracket terminates the args array in MCP JSON format, completing the command line arguments for FastMCP server execution. It maintains valid JSON structure before transitioning to the env configuration section, following the schema defined at SDMCP, com/public/schemas/fastmcp, JSON/v1, JSON. This configuration can be generated directly using FastMCP inspect server, PyFormat MCP, and used with FastMCP run commands.
Env.
The env key specifies environment variables for the FastMCP server process in MCP JSON format. This follows FastMCP's configuration schema for runtime settings, keeping credentials and configurations separate from code, required for 12-factor app compliance and reproducible deployments.
API key, value.
This defines environment variables in FastMCP's MCP JSON format, specifically setting API key for the server process. The configuration follows the schema at SDMCP, com/public/schemas/fastmcp, JSON/v1, JSON, and can be auto-generated using FastMCP inspect server, PyFormat MCP. Required credentials are injected at runtime while keeping secrets out of version control, aligning with 12-factor app principles. This closing brace completes the MCP JSON configuration format, specifically FastMCP's server definition schema. It finalizes the environment variables block while maintaining compliance with the schema at SDMCP, com/public/schemas/fastmcp, JSON/v1, JSON, ensuring the configuration remains valid for both FastMCP run and process manager execution. The structure can be auto-generated using FastMCP inspect server, PyFormat MCP, for consistency across deployments. This closing brace completes the MCP JSON configuration format for FastMCP servers. It finalizes the structured definition containing the UV runner command, FastMCP-specific invocation pattern, and environment variables, all following the schema at SDMCP, com/public/schemas/fastmcp, JSON/v1, JSON. This exact configuration can be generated using FastMCP inspect server, PyFormat MCP, and used directly with FastMCP run. This is FastMCP's MCP JSON configuration format, following the schema at SDMCP, com/public/schemas/fastmcp, JSON/v1, JSON. The structure defines server execution parameters using UV as the Python runner with FastMCP's standard invocation pattern, where the repeated FastMCP in args represents the runtime and plugin flags required by the framework. You can generate identical configurations using FastMCP inspect server, PyFormat MCP, or use this directly with FastMCP run. FastMCP MCP configuration. This JSON structure defines server execution parameters in the MCP protocol format, directly consumable by FastMCP's runtime and compatible with the FastMCP inspect format MCP command. The args array must preserve the exact sequence UV run with FastMCP run, as documented in FastMCP's standard invocation pattern. This configuration follows the schema at SDMCP, com/public/schemas/fastmcp, JSON/v1, JSON, and can be generated automatically using FastMCP's inspection tools.
The command that becomes configuration loses its impermanence.